going to go through. These are not usually the decks I take for past life, but this is where we're at. So let's see what's going on. Time by the sea, listening by the sea. This is, you were living by the sea frequently. When you were a young kid, living by the sea, you have this shell. You would go to the waters. You would listen. You would be on the shore. You would be carefree. You would listen, but you played small. You got small for whatever reason. Something challenged beliefs. You're having carryover in this life from this trust yourself lesson. The child part of you got entirely too practical for your current energy right now. You had all these butterflies, all this growth, all this stuff all around you. And you would put on war paint or elf paint, but pretty soon it just became war paint. You were the child by the sea. What happened? Things want to come flying free again. There's a metamorphosis. It's been long overdue. It's why there's so much of the butterflies, so much coming forward. You got to get by water again. You were by water. It's like by the ocean. I'm not sure which ocean. I'm getting it's tribal. There was something about tribal, like that it takes a village, but it was tribal. It was, you would move to where the different things were, where the different resources were, but you were along the coast with these people. And then for some reason, the people moved inland. Pomp and circumstance all around. You got detached from the ocean. Your clan, tribe, family, whatever it is, it feels like your family plus a few more, whether it's cousins or whether it's just this whole people. It's almost like if you guys lived in a fishing village, that fish for some reason was no longer there, so you were moving. You moved further inland. It was like a necessary move, but it took a hard toll on you. You moved inland and people were more agrarian. They stayed put. There was less flow, less connection to the sea. It was important, the connection to the sea. Yeah, you did feel like a little girl lost there big time. This one feels like, in general, Five of Pentacles speaks to poverty, lack, not enough, like poor little match girl. Yeah, it would have been something that felt like, and even if it wasn't this way, it feels like when you try and take a child from like the candy aisle of the store, taking you from the ocean, you were kicking and screaming tantrum inside your soul. It wasn't relevant to what needed to happen to survive. Lord of Shadows comes with death. What is going on? It's like your people traveled inland because you couldn't survive on whatever the ocean would bring for your people, so they became like more of a gypsy type of people. Now I know that word isn't always correct, but it did feel like you guys became travelers. I can't figure out the whens and wheres. I mean, we know of the Romany gypsies, and we know they're throughout lots of places in history. And it feels like that's what happened with where you felt so much comfortable and then where you headed. And there was less of you, so there was small fractures of tribes, of peoples, of family members as travelers. And you might meet up here and there at certain seasons, but you feel in this life like you got the shaft, and you felt that way about it. This girl has the ability to travel. She's on the horse. She's got the gift. This is later in your youth. You're able to do this, but this child by the sea didn't want to be horseback. It's not what you wanted. You wanted to be with the mermaids or whatever. You wanted to be in the water. You wanted to swim free and have fluidness and flow. And all of this flow of the travel and no home, even though you were on more inland, it didn't feel like home. It didn't feel settled ever. The flow was where your home was moving with you, with you. It wasn't the flow of the stationary town that was by the sea. Forever juggling and being pushed out. This isn't a real secure base. This is doing what it takes to survive, but not feeling secure. The burden was heavy. It's like your parents and people did the best they could, but it sometimes did come up short. Offering services for trade, that's great, but it's never consistent. They used to have what was called tinkers around here, where they would go and they would have their wares and carry their wares and sell these weirdo things. Like, think a couple hundred years back, they would be doing this. They'd be like traveling salesmen. Or if you had somebody that had carpentry skills or the skills to do that, they would know how to do that, but they had to go finding the work a lot. And it wasn't that they forever were stealing or forever on the grift or anything of the sort, but there was imposition of a nomadic way of life. Here you are again, in the water where you want to be. Give me a minute. This is where you want to be. If you go to the ocean now, you'll still feel comfort there. If you're highly resistant to going, it's because you are getting stubborn and you're disconnected from your own intuition. This is you wanting to go to the ocean because you understood the tides, you understood the flow, you understood cycles, you understood sequences of moon, full moon, waxing and waning, all of this. Getting older, being trapped by tradition, an arranged marriage, following harvest, having gifts and talents that you really wanted to share. They were shared to some degree, not as much as you would like. You felt like the separation from this separated you from some of your gifts, some of the cycles that you would have had. If we went further back, before this one, we would have found you by the ocean as well, in Greece. This one feels more Europe. We have this death card with the house for sale, again referencing when your home shifted and ended, it really did a number on you. You didn't dig it at all. Very dissatisfaction, rejection of this land dweller, blah, blah, bullshit. You did not want it one bit.
I feel like this is the life. My soul is at home when I'm by the ocean.
Really? Yeah. Keep going there. It'll be very healing for you. Very, very healing for you. The celebrations and the energies and the significant birthday markers. This feels like very young child. This ocean time may have lasted in this particular life that we're looking at until you're about 8 or 9. Then blam, game over. And it felt like childhood over, done. El fucto. 6 of Cups, yeah. Somewhere between 6 and 9 was this shift. This just got really ruder, and I'm so sorry to tell you. This is like celebration time. It should have been celebration time. This shift, it seems like it literally happened on a day of celebration for you, a coming of age moment that was supposed to be there, a birthday moment. It would be like having everybody say, instead of you having a birthday, we're fucking getting out of Dodge. Sorry, you're screwed. So all of this playfulness, all of this dreaming and lightheartedness, you just shut it down. You just shut it down. Now we're stepping forward.
Uncommon things make sense by the ocean.
Yeah. You need to get there more, and you need to celebrate things. Pay attention to the moon. Pay attention to full moon cycles and setting your intentions on the full moon. There's power in that for you. If you can't get to the ocean, if you find in your life later on you can't get there, take some sand of the shore somewhere with you. Always have whatever it is that has the ocean energy, whether it's shells, whether it's sand, whatever it is. Take the ocean with you if you need to at certain times. All right. We're coming current, a little more closer to current. Jeez. This here feels like it would be maybe 14th, 15th century, maybe sooner than that. I'm not sure where we're headed just yet on this one. Okay, this deck is not at all what I'm getting, but I'm getting what I'm getting. It's this big old horse here, this knight on the horse doesn't come through like a knight on a horse. It comes through like an elephant. I did not expect to see that. Okay, you went from water in this life to land, and here in this particular life, it's separate from this, but you were more desert. Lots of high desert time. I don't know why. And elephants. I don't even know where geographically that would be. That's what was there. Dry seasons that were analysis, dry seasons. It's not even so much about the grieving. It's about this dry seasons, the parched earth. It's not a scorched earth revenge. It's things were parched. It's like, it feels almost like Australia in my mind, and I've never been there, so bear that in mind. But it almost feels like wild Australia, where things weren't really developed for a while, and then the development came. But I don't think it was on the continent of Australia. I think it was somewhere else, and I don't know where. Really dry country. Again, dry country. Some surprises came. Some things would come, surprise, but they wouldn't usually come up as water. You would go for where you would think that there would be water kind of stuff, emotional, happy stuff. Surprise in the weirdest way possible. All of these cups here feel more like merchant energy, desert energy, where there would be merchants trading things. And it feels closer to our time than this. This is where my geography weakness, I wish I had more. And then a turning of your back on something. It's not even a sitting. It's a turning of your back on a certain way, a certain thing. In this one, you had the arranged marriage. You traveled with your person that, your tribes had decided. In this one, you wouldn't have had that. You wouldn't have tolerated it. You would have bolted. There's an inherent freedom that you will want, that will always call you. You need it. You don't like restriction. You don't like being bound. It's like, you hate that.
Sure, but you just uncovered my dream and love of elephants.
Oh, really? Okay. These ones are always surprising to me. I love them so much. There's excitement in this group of little friends going on. Definitely excitement in these. It's not so much about witchy woo magic. It's about the happy, playful time. This happy, playful time of childhood needs rebalanced, recalibrated, and it's almost like you get little slivers added back, but they don't come all in one lifetime. There's a reluctance to trust, a holding on to things like the Four of Pentacles would suggest, but this is mostly sitting on the gift and not doing with it. This creativity, this out-of-the-box thinking, you feel like things are stolen, creativity out the wazoo, but you're reluctant to lean into it. You don't know where to plant your feet. You just want them planted in a way that makes sense. And you want them in a place where you can float, where you have breathing room and flow. No, this one is the Santa Muerte. A lot of skeleton imagery. I didn't think I'd dig it. I really dig it. But I did have to write the numbers because my bifocals would play games with the numbers on here.
Yep,
So,
I don't like restrictions, been married once, didn't like it. Did I have a gift of card reading?
you might have, in this time, you might have. Well, I don't know if it would have been card reading, actually. You might have had a gift of divination. I don't know that card reading came along historically for that. You might have thrown the bones. You might have thrown shells. You would have done divination in a different way.
I've always had dreams and pulled towards this, knowing things I shouldn't know.
I think you had a gift of knowing through shells. I forget what they call that. There's a way of throwing bones. There's a way of throwing seashells, things like this, that people will use, like I'm using cards. This is where you would have naturally gravitated to. You would have known how to throw shells. You would have learned how to throw bones or read runes, that kind of weird, witchy woo kind of thing. It wouldn't have been cards. But it would be seeing things down the track and learning when to keep your mouth shut. If you tell people in the position you were socially in the gender you were in, watch out for this, watch out for that, they're going to dismiss you, or you're going to find yourself in trouble. I don't get burned at the stake, but I get you learned real fast when to shut the fuck up, when to buck the system, when not to. Oh, you bet you did. You saw people landed in trouble when they didn't need to be. Now the One of Cups, the Ace of Cups is coming through as emotional bigness, emotional overwhelm almost. Not so much as a gift. The Wheel of Fortune is coming through with this hurly-burly scythe. It's like you've been on the Wheel of Fortune, but it's cutting through. And so whenever you're traveling, whenever you're having this revolution, whenever you're going through, you're cutting through some of the shit, but it doesn't come free. There's a cost. There's pain on that.
I've had dreams of playing with bones and seashells.
Do it. Do it. There's a thing about it. Learn how. You'll probably get it naturally. King of Wands. You don't like that asshole. This is somebody in the male position of power you're not fond of. In this life, you might have married somebody that was that way. This is somebody that has power, dominion. You don't like it. You want your own power, but somebody else is taking action and you're being dragged along. You hated it. If you've been married in this life and it's not panned out, you didn't like it, I wouldn't rush into it again. I wouldn't rush into the, I need to be in love shit. Not right now. No. You take your time. Anything else you need to know? You get this crafter that is a craftsperson doing the bracelets here. This is a tangible but rooted type of craft and mastery and art and creativity. And you can see this. You can see it around you. It's not what you want to do. You see it around you. You see it around you with other people. I'm getting, if only I could be the guy in power. If only I could be the boy. If only I could be the one in charge of me. You would see the difference of the genders and the inequity. And you didn't necessarily love being a girl because you got dragged around. It's like they're dragging you by your arm. You got dragged around. You're like, why do the boys get to do things?
This is extremely helpful and explains dreams I've had since childhood.
Good. You probably have the gift of screeing or scrying. I don't know what they would call it. It's when you not only can you read shells, you'll be able to read water on surfaces. So say, this is a weak analogy, but it's what I know to use. Say you had Jell-O that hasn't set up. It's kind of liquid, it's kind of thick. You take whatever fork or something across there, and you're like doing your thing until you feel like you're done squiggling across that surface. You'll see things in there that are patterns. You'll be able to read. It's like crystal balls, people will do this with black mirrors they'll do it with. It's the same thing. It's seeing in there and letting the intuition lead and give you some information. This is something you need to get back in touch with. Whatever this is. Now, some people will meditate. For you, just staring at it's not going to cut it for you. You're going to need to feel the energy move through you, and you'll see the pattern there. This is where you take the lead. This is where you, in the current energy, take something more proactive. These are gifts you should be honoring now and trying to reclaim. They're there. They're wired in this life. They're wired in. You know them. How precious a cup of water would have been to look at, to see what gifts would have been in that. How precious that would have been, and especially by the ocean, and then trickier and trickier to even get the access as freely as you want. And in the parched land, water was a commodity. They wouldn't let you just look in the water and try and tell a future or tell a fortune or see anything of meaning. No, water was for drinking. It's just functional. Get over yourself. That kind of energy.
I'm not sure because I don't keep mirrors reflective in my house.
No, this is something you do with water. With water. I don't think you would do it on a black mirror. I don't think you'd do it in a crystal ball. I think you could look into a bowl of water or take a stick in water and you'd get it. It would trigger the intuition. It would come through. This is something you'll be able to do. It's going to sound weird, but I don't care. It's something you're able to do. It's something that helps you feel like you're balancing the scales, the inequity, the intuitive thing. Don't turn your back on the water. Look at this again.
I guess because I don't know much about it, it just scared me.
The less you know about it, the better. Sometimes if we know about a thing, we'll freak ourselves out. We won't try new things. Little kids will try new things because they don't know that they can't do it, or they don't know here's the limits. This is something like curiosity and a sense of adventure lead you. Don't worry about getting anything right. Just start being curious about things that you're seeing and where you're getting the intuitive hits. And it's going to be around water. It's here and it's here. Big, big, big. It shouldn't be something that makes you sad. It should be something when it overflows and you see it. You'll dial it in.
I'll try that. Not weird at all.
Yeah. And don't expect that it's going to make sense or that you're going to know how to do this year. Play with it for a couple of years. Just be like, oh, that's an interesting thing. Huh. You know, it reminds me of last week when I was looking at this. Take the pressure off. The needing to be right in every step you make. Silliness. Fluid and flow. That's going to bring happy, happy, happy. That's what I've got for you. That's where it's at. This is complete. Go for this. Hopefully that's helpful. Very, very interesting. Don't rush into the romance thing right now. No. Don't rush into anything like that. If anything, explore towards the weird, and you don't have to rush into that headlong either. Explore your own weird. That's what I got. That's what I got for you. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Wow.
She put, wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome, honey. You're welcome. Holy moly.